Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go.
Hi, everyone. Today's Friday, July the 25th. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. We begin by looking at the ES, the E-mini S&P 500. We can see that price action is pretty range-bound for the last couple of days. Today, we sit inside of the body of yesterday's motion. We do notice in yesterday's motion that we ticked the 2x of the wave we measured in this inventory accumulation event. And so that's a 2x. This is the range. It multiplied itself, and now we're back here into the range. So it suggests one of two things. One, we're able to hold and grind higher, very likely, especially on a Friday in the summer. Or two, we come back into the base of the range. So what do I like to do? I like to look for the base of the range for support. We have really been moving forward. You can see what we had here is some sort of mean reversion where everyone said, yes, let's buy and sell in here over and over again. Our point of control, because of that, remains way down here at 6,335. The volume weighted average price from this entire formation is 6,356, also well below our ranges. Our opening range formation today, high 6,413.25, our low 6,404.75. So what did we do? We broke above it, tested our Fibonacci expansion from this region of accumulation, and now we're back to the top. Notice, this measured move of 6,401 was based on Sunday night's motion, right? Whatever we happen on Sunday night, that's what we're staring down, and we are well over it. So the person or persons that said, hey, I'm going to sell this vol, meaning I'm going to sell calls at the top edge of this range, or I'm going to begin selling the instrument at this range, they're underwater. And if they stay underwater, they are going to have to continue to buy it up to move forward. Now, my thought is that that seems pretty likely. And so I'm going to add the 3 spot there for a 3x rotation, which gives us 6,435 approximately on the top side. And 6,400 on the bottom. If we lose 6,400, you've got to get out of the way. There's a potential 10-point drop into the next rotation. And then if that doesn't hold, we get to back into the value area high at 6,380 or so. And that's where Wednesday's volatility was sitting. Trend clearly by the dip. Clearly. It could be a little bit of a sideways rotation, like a smaller version of this big thing over here, but it is clearly by the dip. We only have durable goods here coming. Next week, volume continues to be a little light. Next week, we've got our August 1st. I suspect that this tariff deal that's going to come with the EU is going to punch us even higher into the beginning of August. That's just my gut. But I also think it's going to be a reflexive action, pushing price action to the north, and then having us come to sit back in heavier volume areas. So that's what I'm staring down. Let's go to the NQ. Whoa, that's looking a little messy, isn't it? All right, the NQ is also inside of yesterday's trading range, right? Here is the high of yesterday. Looks like about 23,420 or so. We broke that and then immediately collapsed into, what do you know, the Globex opening range. Look at what we're testing. The low of the Globex here. And we've spent literally 2 days in this formation. So what's the storyboard? Well, if you step back, you could go, maybe this is a topping formation. But you can see low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So what's that telling you? Maybe not so much of a topping formation. The dips will get bought. Earnings continue to come in. Next week is going to be a big earnings week also, and then things ought to quiet down just a wee bit. But my suspicion is dips or buys. There are a lot of people that have hated this rally and just are very much underexposed to getting involved, particularly using the futures market as a hedge. And so they're going to continue to try to do that. My thought, dips or buys. So let's take a look at the opening range formation. High, 23,420.50. Low, 23,385. We broke the top of it and the bottom of it. Okay? So now we came into Monday's IV. Now we're coming back into the bottom of it and trying to reject. My thought is the following. If it loses 23,350, value area high at 23,313 is the next line. Volume weighted average price, 23,271, and then the point of control well below at 23,213. So here's the thing. If you're looking to buy the dip, look for inventory accumulation. When it breaks, get out. If you say, hey, I want to use a micro here, in case it breaks, I want to add on the low, you can do that. If you're trading the big range, just don't get super excited about loading the boat or you are going to get smashed. It's going to be ugly. So look at the big range. My favorite thing to do is look at 4-hour accumulation. If I'm looking for 1 to 3 trades a day, I'm going to sit in that 4-hour space and I am just going to wait. Hey, I got great things to do. I can read, I can study, I can do some stuff on my practice account, I can build new option strategies. I've got tons of things to do. Don't let inactivity interrupt with your productivity, okay? That's the big thing. Don't chase the trades. Super excited that Top Steps VIP program starts next week. Hoping that I get to spend a lot of time with you folks and really dig down into all the things that we can get done together. And I want to see you guys just rise. So, well, that's me on my diatribe. I'm off to the races here. Value area high, again, 2300, 313. Now here's the question. What if we break out? It's a Friday. Fridays can be bullish. What are we looking for? As long as we confirm inside of the box, right? Inside of the opening range low, we should head to the top of the range at 23,437. So the long action could be 23,383 with your stop at 23,342. That's pretty wide. That's very risky. In my mind, it's always better to wait. And what I've been seeing up here is that the punches up have been running the stops. That's why we're seeing all these wicks, and then rotating right back into support. So my thought is, listen, buy the dips, cover at the highs, and if you want to take a breakdown short at the high, wait for it to show some topping formation and allow it to break down into the heavy congestion so you can follow the liquidation to the south. Let's take a look at the YM. Risk is always job one. Whoa, look at that. All right. So yesterday, wow, this is a textbook example of how to use the opening range high and get yourself positioned for a really nice short. So first of all, broke out massively, fell, opening range for yesterday, pretty tight, sideways formation. The bounce comes right back to the top. At the topping, you've got 1, 2, 3 tests up here, and as they test these highs, momentum continues to drag lower. It tells you that sellers are being very aggressive up here and buyers are losing their courage. And so we can see the failure to break the top of the opening range and then the breakdown. Look at that, comes right back into that opening range. This is a measured move candle line, 45,100, which is, that's why we have it there, because it's just a measured move. Today, we still sit inside of yesterday's motion. Now, what are we doing? We broke higher, came back. We're holding the low of the opening range. Now, momentum is sideways, but if we're holding the low of the opening range, a liquidity break or a stop run where they go, oh, you know what? I'm going to run these people out, the weak hands, and I'm going to try and pick it up on the cheap and buy along, to me, 44,875. Fair place to go long, maybe 25, 30 ticks of a stop. Looks pretty nice, actually. Opening range high, 44,977. Opening range low, 44,922. If this breaks, and we move sideways here, and then we break down below 44,865, and we don't immediately bounce, we've got value area high, 44,792. VWAP, or volume weighted average price, 44,754. And then the point of control, 44,551. All right. I think a lot of people are looking for the short, but the regular trader money, as a retail trader, someone simple that doesn't have 10 zeros they're trading with intraday every day, this is a space where we really are, if we are simple about the approach, we're going to win without thinking about the future, right? Some guy that's carrying, $100 billion portfolio, he has to constantly think about hedging. She has to constantly think about hedging. All right. Micro Bitcoin. Look at what it did here. Take a look at this, my lovelies. Base of the range, buy zone, right? I talked about this yesterday. I said, hey, listen, wait for the dip, buy it. I just had one contract on here, but it's still engaged. Long from 116,200. That's where I have it. Just left it alone. One, I said, hey, listen, if it drops to 115,000, I'll still be okay. Now it's breaking up into value area low. I think it goes back to the top. This is clearly inventory accumulation. Clearly inventory accumulation. Where am I going to take the trade off? 119,000. But Anne-Marie, it could go all the way to 121. Yeah, I don't care. I'm just a little mouse looking around, making sure the cats aren't there, going out, getting my piece of cheese, heading back to the hole. All right? I am not here to swing big and look like a hero. Those days are over for me. They had a lot of pain, I just want you to know. But this is what we're staring down. So I'm going to be patient. If it double bottoms, I'm going to add to the position. Okay, but right now, take a look. Opening range formation today, high, 119,940. Low, 119,360. Notice what happens. Tries to get through the value area high, 119,637, and then absolutely collapses. Now, if we're per happenstance staring down a 15-minute chart, we could see this break and just take a short. Another thing we could do is just say, hey, if it loses that low, I'm going short. But here's the problem with that. We're in a big mess of everybody arguing about what the right price is, right? So easily, although it looks great in hindsight, it could easily put us upside down in the trade. Is it worth it with risk managed? Yes, it is. All right, especially if that moves down. Now, the second time it comes in, you could also do that. Point of control, 118,957. It tests that once, collapses again. Value area low, 117,524. Could it have bounced there? Yes. Did it? No. Collapsed right into, take a look at this. This is the opening range of a prior day. The Globex open of a prior day comes right into the floor. This is the bigger box, but it comes into this little box and holds. My thought is it's going to run right back up into the channel. Let's take a look at oil. Very sideways, tough trading right here. Oh my gosh, did you just hear me drop that G? Oh, I hate when I do that. Sloppy language. Okay, so what do we have? Well, this chart just came into a space where inventory accumulation moved, but the gap fill for the rolling of the contract, that's why this gap exists, there's a contract roll event. The gap fill there takes us into 67. What is trend? Higher lows, higher highs. What is the overall range and the overall behavior of this price action? Sideways, right? Could you take a short here? Absolutely. Could you take a long here? Absolutely. Would there be just as many arguments and go in both directions? Absolutely. What does that tell me? I don't have an edge. If I'm staring down something like this, I simply do not have an edge. I want to see it come back and retest old accumulation events. On the 4-hour, we accumulated for 3 days and then broke into a new area of accumulation. That's what we are dancing in. Could it be a nice breakout long? Yes, but I'm not going to look for that. I'm going to look for a long here at the floor of support. If it doesn't hold, I know we're going to have a nice breakdown. And so I'll be able to trade into the deep areas of support, at which point I'm going to try long again. Okay? SPR is starting to fill up, which I find to be very interesting. Great price that it's filling up at, but also very interesting. Got to keep our eyes on that. Could really push oil to the north. And so this is what we're staring down. My thought is it gets all the way up to here, 67, maybe even this Globex opening range formation, which puts us just shy of Thursday's implied volatility of 67.75. What's the opening range here? Again, another tight morning. High, $66.17. Low, $66.09. That, very, very tight. Notice how well it holds the floor of the Globex. Just a little wick below, holds up, comes back to test. Very choppy ranging. So this is still inventory accumulation. Still inventory accumulation. Distribution is going to be below $66 or above $66.80. Let's take a look at gold. So, I have a confession to make. I knew this chart was going to roll over. Of course. I've been talking about it. But I missed the trade, and it was running so fast that I didn't move in. I don't generally trade the micros. And so, at $10 a tick, you can be upside down really fast. And so this, pure disgust. However, got to clean the slate and go, okay, obviously we're having a rotation. I expected that to happen. People are a little long in the tooth. Look at the 4-hour. Where are we accumulating? 3,297. Could I trade from 3,342 to 3,297? Absolutely. What would I want to look for? Areas of accumulation that failed. And so what I'm looking for is a potential construction of inventory collection and then another break. Trade it down to the bottom, get out, because they are going to buy it there. They are going to buy it there. It is, why, Anne-Marie? Why are they going to buy it there? Because that's what they've been doing. Well, let's see how far back we go. They've been doing that in general since April, right? Huge flush. So we have to pay attention to this low. We can't just buy it and hold. We have to buy it and watch the bounce. If the bounce doesn't hold, we have to get out. And so what is the most important zone that we're going to see a lot of clustering? I think we're sitting right there. 3,337. The point of control is 3,342. The volume weighted average price is 3,352. This $20 range in here, we should see heavy congestion and then either a break to the north or a break to the south. So I'm going to watch this move to see what happens. Notice price action has very rarely gone down into here and not immediately tried to stage a bounce. This is potentially what we're seeing. Dips are clearly buys. We could go into the volatility expansion at 3314 to 3319. But we'll see. Let's take a look at the 1-hour opening range. All right, so we are trending down, obviously. right? Look what happens. We bounce into opening range of prior days. Right there, I mean, on the nose. They're so important. Also, the implied vol from Tuesday. Bouncing, inventory accumulation, and then distribution, right? So you got to wait for the break. Sideways, Anne-Marie, what if I don't? Listen, if you're thinking to yourself, listen, this is going to be a liquidity break in one direction or another, you can easily position by saying, hey, I'm going to go long if it reaches up here, right? Or I'm going to go short if it pulls down here. What's the worst thing that could happen? You could lose. So how about defining what it is you lose? Don't be afraid. Just go, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? All right, I could lose. Well, how much could I lose? Well, if that stops out, I will lose XYZ. But I don't want to lose. Welcome to trading. Nobody wants to lose. But, everybody that plays sports, they don't want to lose when they get on field. It just happens because you're competing against other people. We happen to be competing against machines. Okay? So just don't be afraid. Just look for the formation and go, all right, I'm doing it. And then you work on your timing. All right? That's all there is to that. That's it. What's the opening range distance? High, 3,373.7. Low, 3,368.3. Bounces into this area have been selling pressures. However, we are at the bottom of a momentum channel, so a flush down would make a lovely buying opportunity. Absolutely lovely. Looking for 33.19 there. All right, SPY. Holy congested. Good grief. This, folks, is a picture of my sinuses. All right. Side note, me lamenting about my allergies. That's why I'm getting another blood workup, because they've been pumping me full of all this stuff, and we've got to see what's going on. All right. So, here we go. Very tight. I don't know what they're waiting on here, but they are waiting on something. Probably August 1st. Hard to say, but here's the thing. Any savage dip down has been a buy zone. What are we holding? The top of the prior day's opening range. So if we get to 634, it's a buy zone. Potentially, right? Do I like trading in these things? Now, that'd be a big fat no. So I won't be trading this buy today. But if it comes down and it tests this 633 area, 633.70, you can be sure that buyers are going to step in. Now, the strength of them when they get there remains to be seen. But look at the negative momentum building as we get higher. To me, this tells me any kind of blow off top is going to be selling pressure back into a higher support zone. Implied vol for Friday, 637. Implied vol for Thursday, 635.80. We've been staying right inside this range. So the iron condor has been doing very, very well. I think I'll put up an iron condor for us in the Benzinga Pro platform and have us start trading this. That was my claim to fame, the iron condor. So we'll see if we can do some more of those. All right, everybody, take care. It's Friday. Woohoo! I'll see you on the streams.